In Caesar's Commentary de Bello Gallico, the chaos of the Gallic Wars unfolds with relentless action. The Helvetii burn their own towns, uprooting 368,000 people to carve out a new home by force. Caesar countered with walls spanning miles and ambushes that annihilated entire clans. Rivers became battlegrounds as his legions dismantled enemy crossings and built their own overnight. At Bibracte, javelins pinned Celtic shields like gruesome trophies while warriors fought desperately atop wagon barricades. Betrayal simmered in the ranks, exposing fragile alliances. Then came Ariovistus, a Germanic king who mocked Roman authority and provoked battles with tactics as brutal as his warriors. Caesar chronicled each clash with gripping detail, showing the fury and spectacle of Rome's advance into Gaul. The Helvetii, a Celtic tribe from modern Switzerland, lived hemmed in by the Rhine River, the Jura Mountains, and the Rhone. Their land was fertile, but their warriors craved expansion. Ortorix, a wealthy and ambitious noble, convinced his people they could claim all of Gaul, exploiting their reputation as fierce fighters who excelled all in valor. The Helvetii prepared for 2 years, stockpiling grain, crafting wagons, and forging alliances with neighboring tribes like Rauraki and Telingi. Then they set their homeland ablaze. They set fire to all their towns, 12 in number, and their villages about 400, Caesar wrote, so that, with hope of returning erased, they might face all dangers with greater resolve. This dramatic self-destruction created an unstoppable momentum. The Helvetii aimed to march west through the Roman province of Gaul, a move that demanded Caesar's response. Caesar was in Rome when news reached him of the Helvetii's plan. He rushed to Geneva, a strategic point where the Rhone River narrowed. There, he commanded the construction of a wall, 16 feet high and 19 miles long, blocking their path. With a single legion and reinforcements gathered from the province, I built fortifications stretching from Lake Geneva to Mount Jura, leaving no gap for the enemy. The Helvetii sent envoys, claiming peaceful intentions and requesting passage. But Caesar remembered their history. Decades earlier, they had routed a Roman army, humiliating Lucius Cassius and forcing his soldiers to pass under the yoke. I could not forget, he said, that their nature is treacherous and their designs hostile. When Caesar delayed his reply, the Helvetii tried to ford the Rhone at multiple points, building rafts and boats. Roman soldiers hurled missiles and launched skirmishes, repelling every attempt. With their route through Geneva blocked, the Helvetii turned their sights elsewhere, forcing Caesar into relentless pursuit. The Helvetii diverted north, crossing into the land of the Sequani, their next-door neighbors. To reach their goal, they began crossing the River Saône, its slow current providing a deceptively tranquil scene. Caesar, tracking their movements with scouts, discovered a critical weakness. The Helvetii's forces were divided, with some still on the near bank, their wagons loaded with supplies. At dawn, Caesar struck with 3 legions. We caught them unaware, he recorded, their baggage slowing their movements, their formation scattered. The Tigurini, one of the Helvetii's 4 clans, bore the brunt of the assault. They fled in chaos, Caesar wrote, but not before many were slaughtered and the survivors driven into the forests. This clan had once defeated Rome and slain Lucius Cassius in battle. Caesar made their destruction a point of personal and public vengeance. After the skirmish, Caesar's legions displayed their unmatched efficiency. In a single day, they constructed a bridge over the Saône, a feat the Helvetii had spent weeks trying. Caesar's rapid crossing shocked the Celts. When they saw that what had taken them 20 days we had accomplished in 1, their confidence wavered, Caesar observed. Seeking to regroup, the Helvetii sent Divico, their chief, to negotiate. Divico's words carried a thinly veiled threat. You may have surprised one canton, but do not ascribe this to your valor. We Helvetii rely on our courage, not cunning. Caesar refused their terms. Instead, he demanded hostages and reparations for their attacks on Rome's allies. His rejection and continued pursuit forced the Helvetii to march westward under relentless pressure. Each skirmish, each maneuver, tightened the noose. Caesar's swift, decisive actions ensured he dictated the terms of engagement. His men, emboldened by their victories, marched with the momentum of a force proving Rome's dominance in a dangerous and chaotic land. After days of pursuing the Helvetii, Caesar's forces found themselves close to Bibracte, the wealthiest city of the Aedui, where his troops could resupply. As they descended towards the city, scouts reported that the Helvetii had turned back to confront them, emboldened by Roman movements that appeared to signal retreat. Caesar recounted the decision to halt and prepare for battle. I drew up my legions on the middle of a hill, the veterans positioned to receive the brunt of the assault, with the auxiliaries stationed above to hold the summit. The Helvetii advanced in a dense phalanx, shields overlapping an impenetrable wall. Their precision and discipline showed their intent to overwhelm through sheer force. Caesar's response began with a hail of Roman javelins. Our missiles pierced their shields, pinning them together and rendering their left arms useless. Many, unable to fight effectively, chose to discard their shields altogether, he wrote. Without their protective wall, the Helvetii were exposed to the sword-wielding Romans who rushed down from higher ground to exploit the gaps. The battle raged fiercely as the Helvetii retreated to a nearby wagon fort. Caesar described how they turned the wagons into makeshift barricades, using the elevated ground to hurl spears at the advancing Romans. Our men pushed forward regardless, dismantling their defenses piece by piece under a relentless storm of projectiles, Caesar recorded. Amid the chaos, Caesar's disciplined lines and flexible tactics prevailed. The Helvetii eventually broke, retreating in scattered groups into the night. Their losses were staggering. Among the captured were the daughter and one son of Oratorix, the Helvetii leader who had orchestrated their ill-fated migration. The remnants of the once mighty tribe fled, pursued by Caesar's forces as the magnitude of their defeat reverberated across Gaul. As the campaign against the Helvetii unfolded, Caesar uncovered treachery within his ranks. Dumnorix, a prominent Aeduan noble and brother of Caesar's ally Divitiacus, had been secretly aiding the Helvetii. Through his influence and wealth, Dumnorix had secured control of the Aeduan cavalry, deliberately engineering a retreat that demoralized our forces, Caesar revealed. The betrayal cut deep. Dumnorix's connections extended into the Helvetii ranks, strengthened through marriage alliances and promises of mutual support. His actions threatened not just military objectives but the fragile trust between Rome and its Gallic allies. Caesar wrote, "I summoned the Aeduan leaders, including Divitiacus, to uncover the depth of the conspiracy. The evidence was clear, but I hesitated to act, knowing that punishing Dumnorix would wound his loyal brother." Confronted with the charges, Divitiacus pleaded with Caesar, his voice heavy with emotion. He implored me, with tears in his eyes, to spare his brother, acknowledging his guilt but begging mercy for the sake of family and peace. Caesar, moved by this appeal, chose a calculated response. "I pardoned Dumnorix for his past treachery," he wrote, but placed him under strict surveillance, ensuring he could no longer undermine our efforts. Even as Dumnorix remained under suspicion, the situation highlighted the precarious balance Caesar had to maintain. His ability to quell internal dissent while continuing the relentless pursuit of the Helvetii showcased his mastery of both strategy and diplomacy. Every step of the campaign was a reminder that betrayal, like the battles themselves, could strike from unexpected quarters. Caesar's measured handling of the incident prevented further division, but the episode lingered as a warning of the volatile alliances that defined the Gallic Wars. The aftermath of Caesar's victory over the Helvetii introduced a new and formidable challenge. Ariovistus, a Germanic king whose armies had crossed the Rhine and now occupied large parts of Gaul. This was not a foe to underestimate. Caesar's informants painted a vivid picture of Ariovistus's warriors, massive, disciplined, and utterly ruthless. Their stature, their ferocity, and their unbroken streak of victories unnerved even seasoned soldiers, Caesar noted. Ariovistus had refused Caesar's initial overtures for diplomacy, rejecting requests for a meeting and dismissing Roman presence in Gaul as unwelcome. "What concern is it of yours what I do in my Gaul?" Ariovistus reportedly sneered, asserting his dominion over the region through conquest. Caesar, undeterred, maneuvered his legions closer to Ariovistus's position, his men on edge after hearing chilling accounts of Germanic battle tactics. When Ariovistus finally agreed to a meeting, his terms were laced with suspicion. Caesar could bring no infantry to the conference, relying on cavalry instead. Caesar, unwilling to risk his life with potentially disloyal Gallic horsemen, devised a daring plan. He mounted his legionnaires on the cavalry's horses, transforming them into an improvised but trusted bodyguard. One soldier quipped, "Caesar does more for us than he promised. He turns us into horsemen." The meeting took place on a mound in a wide-open plain, with each leader flanked by a small escort. Caesar detailed the long-standing friendship between Rome and the Aedui, stressing their right to self-rule under Roman protection. Ariovistus countered with disdain, declaring the conquered are governed as the conqueror sees fit. "Your senators do not allow others to dictate Roman rule. Why should I bow to your terms?" As tempers flared, Ariovistus's cavalry crept closer, launching stones and missiles at Caesar's escort. Caesar ended the meeting abruptly, rallying his men for an inevitable confrontation. The arrogance of Ariovistus and his attempts to provoke a fight had stirred the hearts of my soldiers, Caesar wrote, and their eagerness for battle grew fiercer. The German king's defiance in the looming battle marked the start of an epic clash that would decide the fate of Rome's ambitions in Gaul. Thanks for watching Nutty Productions. What other first-hand accounts do you want to hear? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell, share this video with a friend, and all that good stuff to stay up to date on all the nutty stories from humanity's past.